So I've had a few people say to me that I should do the please like and subscribe to my channel thing at the start of the video instead of the end, but I'm kind of so used to doing it at the end, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it naturally and confidently enough at the start, so I'm going to try it after the intro, and if I seem awkward or it doesn't work at all, I'm sure someone will let me know.
Put the bucket back in the box.
Starring amongst others, Lewis Ashbourne Serkis, Dean Chamu, Tom Taylor, Rhianna Doris, Angus Imrie, Rebecca Ferguson and Patrick Stewart. Directed by Joe Cornish off of a screenplay that he wrote. This is my review for The Kid Who Would Be King. And if you like this review, don't forget to hit like on this channel and subscribe to this video. What? Oh no, shit. The Kid Who Would Be King focuses on Alex and his friend Bedders. They're in big school now. They're not quite as cool as they used to be. They're the bottom rung of the ladder, as it were. They're getting picked on by a couple of bullies, and things aren't exactly going well for them. They're a little bit down about it. And it all comes to a head when Alex finds a sword in a stone and pulls it out. There he finds out he is the Kid Who Would Be King. He is the person who is meant to defend this world from the evil Morgana, and he needs friends and foes to come together to help him take her down, along with a little assistance from a little guy called Merlin. I just want to say off the bat now that this hasn't done well elsewhere. I think America got this first, and it hasn't exactly set the box office alight, and I'm just going to say it now. Go see this film. Go watch it, because it's an original story, for one, which is such a good thing in a world full of franchises. Like, this is an original story. I mean, it borrows a lot from stories we've heard before. Sort of Arthurian mythology and stuff has been touched on in many different genres, but it makes it its own. As I say, it's not part of a franchise. It's just a one-off film. And if people don't go and see this, we're not going to get as many of them, and we're just going to be stuck with all of these franchise movies, and that's all we're going to get. I don't want that to happen, especially when films come along of this high quality, because I loved this film. This is one of those movies, if I had seen this when I was a kid, it would be one of my favourite films. 100% it would be. It'd be one of those, sort of like Back to the Future, that I would go back and watch in years to come, and it would just be a go-to film for me. Now, watching it as an adult, I really, really liked it. In fact, I loved it still, but I just wish I had this kind of film when I was sort of that age, when I was a young age. It would have been so good to have this, and it's why I want as many people to see it as possible, because it really is just a fun, exciting, and just all-around great film. Joe Cornish is a writer and director that I've wanted to see another film from for a long time. Attack the Block was a very long time ago now. It's such a great film as well, so when I heard that he was doing another one and it was going to be centred on this, I just knew it was going to be good. And it doesn't disappoint at all. From start to finish, this is just a really exciting and fun and at times sweet film. It has a lot to do, it has a lot of different tones and things to balance, and for the most part I think it does all of them admirably well. Because it's a clever script. It's a script that knows the actual story that it's dealing with is absurd and ridiculous, and it does play up to that. There's some really, really silly moments in this film, but they just work with everything else going on. But at the same time, it has a real heart to it. The characters feel like actual characters. These kids feel like actual kids, which is a very crucial thing in a movie where kids are the stars. But they do. They feel like 12-year-olds, the two main guys. And then the bullies that come along, they've got some layers to them as well. They're not just outright bullies. I mean, that's the point. Foes becoming friends. But all of these kids are just perfectly cast in this film and perfectly written. And they're all great as well. I mean, Bedders is a comedy highlight. Dean Chamu, and if I've said his name wrong, I apologise, but he's just so much fun in this. And all of them are. Sort of all of the performances are great. Rebecca Ferguson's villain is really creepy. Sometimes maybe a little bit too creepy for the PG rating it's got. But she's, say, not really overly well developed, but at the same time, we kind of get enough backstory about her to understand that she's just this figure that wants power. She just wants to get her power back, and she'll take down people to get it. So she's very menacing in that regard. Patrick Stewart is, I mean, he's always great, kind of goes without saying, but he gets to play a wizard, finally, and he does it really well. He's not in it quite as much as I want. His character Merlin switches between Patrick Stewart's performance and a younger version of the character, played by Angus Imrie, who, by the way, is hysterical in this one. I haven't looked up what else this guy's done, but I want to see more from him. There's such an eccentric way about him that I could very much see him as a Doctor-type character, if the Doctor ever goes back to being male again. Like, just a very, very fun performance, but for me, the standout, without question, is Lewis Ashbourne Serkis. He is so good in this film, so good. His dad, obviously, is Andy Serkis, who's an incredible actor who often gets overlooked for all the awards because he does motion capture, and apparently that's not good enough, but I mean, him as Caesar in the Planet of the Apes, he's such a good actor. And his son has got those skills as well, because he gets the tone of this film. He understands it. He understands when it's ridiculous and when it needs a little bit more of a human touch to it. There's that line in the trailer where he's being told everything that he's doing, and his response is, "This is ridiculous, I'm 12." It's just such a great line, and such beautifully delivered by him, because he seems like a 12-year-old trying to wrap his head around what's going on. That's great. And he gets a lot to do in this one, a lot of emotional things. There's a subplot involving his father, and him and his mother are having some issues, and he's got to save the world. So this kid has a lot on his shoulders throughout this 2-hour runtime, and he nails it all. He gets every aspect of the character. When the movie is being silly, he can be silly. When it needs to be heartfelt, he can be heartfelt. Like, this kid is one to watch. I think he's going to go on to big things based on just this that I've seen him in alone. Great performance. And I think what really impressed me as well, a lot really impressed me, but I think another thing that really impressed me about this is how they handled the Arthurian lore, because they stick to a lot of it. They stick to it sort of as it was, but at the same time, they kind of add a little bit of modern twists on it. And I like that. They update it for today's generation. They update it for these characters. And yeah, it really works. I've always found that sort of stuff fascinating. Like, whenever Arthurian things pop up, like SG-1, the latest 2 seasons of that, I loved. I think mainly because of the Arthurian things. But it just makes for a really fascinating film. It's a fascinating story. I mean, things like Stonehenge being included, it just touches on a lot of things, and it's always compelling when it does. And I think it's to Joe Cornish's credit as well that a lot of the contrivances in this one do seem to work. I mean, it's awfully convenient that all of the adults, or anybody that's not knighted, that's knighted, that's what I did with my hand, anybody that's not knighted by Alex will disappear at sunset. As soon as the sun goes down and the evil comes along, they won't be there, and it will just be the people that are knighted that remain. It's a very, very, as I say, convenient way to get everybody out of the picture and just focus on these kids. But again, it's written in such a way and it's played out in such a way that it's believable. Like, it seems to work. You can ignore how convenient that is. Particularly when there's a great joke about what happens when somebody reappears again. That's potentially one of the highlights of the film. Such a funny moment. But yeah, it's just a very, very smart script. Joe Cornish has wrote Ant-Man as well. He was involved in a lot of the first draft of what Ant-Man was. It's a very talented writer. I wish it wasn't so long between films of his own, because Attack the Block, this, I love them both. If I've got any complaints about this film, it's that it does feel like it runs on a little bit too long. There's a large section where they're going on a road trip that could have been trimmed down quite a bit. And I think the film would have benefited from that, because that portion in the middle of the movie is kind of the only time where it feels like the film's kicking its heels a little bit. And it was all kind of important, so a lot of it did need to be there, but I could have done with just some trimming, I think, just to kind of keep the pace going. But luckily, when it gets to the final act, things go so nuts and insane that you kind of forget that it was becoming a little bit of a drag before, because it's so exciting again at that point. Honestly, there's some amazing moments in this big final battle, and just seeing loads of kids dressed in armour going nuts with swords, it's a ton of fun. I mean, who wouldn't want to see something like that? I'm going to give The Kid Who Would Be King a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this. I knew I was going to. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it quite as much as I did. But yeah, loved it. Please go and see it. If it's showing anywhere near you, just go give it a chance. Go check it out, because, as I say, original movies like this need to be given a chance. But they need people to go and see them, so we keep getting more of them. So we don't just keep getting the franchise movies. And it's not that I don't like franchise movies. I just like variety. I just like to have something different come along every now and then. And that's what this is. So, yeah, do me a favour. Go and see it if you can, because it's really worth your time. Have you seen The Kid Who Would Be King? If so, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And what's your favourite Arthurian story as well? Do you like all that stuff like I do? Because I just find it fascinating. Part of me believes it's real just because I want it to be. Do hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of them. A review for Happy Death Day to You will be coming along tomorrow. I'm going to see that in about an hour's time, actually, so I'm quite excited to watch it. I love the first one. You can follow me on Twitter as well, @JoeJulians. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.